What's up, guys? Just wanted to show, explain getting today. So today's video, we're going to talk about how to prepare for an opponent, specifically on Lichess. I've not formally taught anybody, but I've had some guys I've kind of mentored along the way, a few students, and they always, people just come with questions too, and they always ask me, how do you prepare? How do you study? How do you get better at the game? This right here is how I do it. I'm sure a lot of people do it this way. I'm sure a lot of people don't do it this way. What I like to do is I like to make a study, which I have. This study is called Teaching. It's private. No one else will be able to see it on Lichess. That's a nice feature where only you can see the studies you make. I'm the only member. You got different chapters. This one, we're going to just show how to prepare. So, other than just inputting moves and using the engine to see what the best moves are, there's we've got more ways that we can prepare, specifically tailored to our opponent and their playing styles. So, for example, um, what you used to have to do back in the day, we'd have to use this thing called opening tree. Go to Racing Kings, which I'll show y'all. I still kind of like opening tree. I mean, Eric Rosen is the one who showed me how to do this, but we're going to change the variant to Racing Kings. Going to be using Lichess. I'm just going to use my email. Not my email, sorry, my username. I'm going to be prepping me as white. So we're going to be looking at the moves I play as white in order to. I'm basically preparing like I'm playing black against myself. And so it's just going to analyze all the games. One thing though, I would stay on the screen while it's running because sometimes it likes to freeze. Like, for example, if I went over here and started doing stuff in the study, making moves, come over here. If you wait too long, sometimes it'll freeze. So generally, I just like to sit here. And also, you can kind of look and see, how the most common moves people play in this situation. Like, I am heavily Bishop D4, play a good amount of King G3, and I don't play a lot of Knight Capture C2 or King H3, which, I mean, that's accurate because these are from my games. Another thing I like to do is you can hover over this, like Bishop D4. My performance is roughly 2400. Playing Bishop D4, King G3, I'm about 2200. Knight Capture C2 at about 2400, and King H3 I'm at about 2400. I will say the reason why this one is so low is because my average opponent is very low. If I'm playing someone good, I don't ever play King G3. I mean, I do sometimes, but I play King G3 a lot against a lot of lower rated players to get a faster win. Um, but yeah, so right here, like we can see Bishop D4. We can see how I respond. So like against Bishop B4, my performance is right around 2400. Against King B3, my performance is better. So you might say, okay, I'd rather play Bishop B4 against him than King B3. And so in which case, you'd see I do this a lot, and you'd say, okay, now from here I play a lot of Knight C3, I play a lot of King F4. So from this, it looks like you might want to go into King F4, right? But then that also depends on the line. Like King E5, I play very well. Queen H6 is also pretty well. Um, you know, and it just kind of depends on the line you're playing. So like Knight C3, you might say, okay, Knight F3 is 2400, Knight Capture C3, he's lower, he's 2350, so I should play this line. That's just kind of how it works. Uh, that's how I like to use opening tree. And also, if you can go to the opening book and see like in this position, the starting position, King G3 has been played 1.3 million times. Knight Capture C2 is the second most popular, then Bishop D4. So like in that first video that I had where the introduction where I kind of introduced these three openings, I called them the big three for a reason. They're the most popular. We can also go right here. This is me. This is my total performance for like everything on Lichess, I guess. Shows my best win, my worst loss, my longest game, my shortest game, and the last game I played. Calculates the performance right here. So yeah, so that's how we would use it in opening tree. It's almost done. I think I probably have about 5,000 games with white. So as we can see, Bishop D4. Also we can see my performances have dropped, but that's because I've had this account for more than 5 years now. I've been playing Racing Kings for 5 years, so it took me a long time to get to where I'm at rating wise. There were a lot of humiliating losses on the way. Uh, Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video documenting my Racing Kings journey. But yeah, so back to the task at hand. Yeah, roughly about 5,000 games. It should be done here soon. It's moving very fast now. Well, it's a lot more than I thought. Anyway, so what we can do in Lichess also, we can come here, click on player, and it's already on me. We can see my most common moves as white. So the most common move I've played, like see, I left it too long, so now it's frozen. Uh, anyway, the most common move I've played is King G3. And so you can see these are all the last games I've played. You can also go here in the settings, and for example, you could include like blitz only, to see what in blitz only I play a lot more bishop d4 than I do king g3 or anything, bishop d4. And I've got you can see the win rates. It doesn't, okay, it does have performance rating. So yeah, again, you can see that I play primarily a lot of king g3. I don't play knight captures on c2 anymore. You can see me play this line where I play rook h2. And I mean, I will say, if you want to learn rook h2 from somebody, learn it from me. Just kind of showcase what we can learn. And if I wanted to go to king h3, I could see, my moves against this. But yeah, so then so we use this opening explorer to help me, prepare, see what moves I play. Then also what I like to do is get a chapter, so like playing as black. And then I'll help prep myself. So like if I'm playing as black, I want to see how this person, which just happened to be me, I want to see how this person plays as white. So against king g3, I see that knight captures f2, they don't seem to play as well as they do against king b3, for example. So okay, let me look into that. Rook captures f2, we get king a3. Looks like a lot of rook f4. So rook f4 he plays pretty well. King f4 he doesn't play well at all. I know this line for a reason. Well, it's because I like rook f4 better, not because I'm just bad at this line. Like, yeah, I don't ever play this. I mean, maybe a handful of times. But yeah, so I could just like show all this. And we kind of just get into a position like that. So I'll prep everything is black. I'll look at like every move. So how does he play against when I do like this, for example? You know, or if I like this, how does what we try to do is we try to find a game where someone succeeded and copy that, right? Because uh, so we can see the mistakes that person made and why they made them and try to replicate them again. You know, that's what we're aiming to do when we prep. And then I'll also come here, playing, if I can type, playing as white, and then I'll kind of see what said individual does with the black pieces. So against king h3 seems to dominate, seems to be the worst against bishop d4. So against bishop d4, what are the moves he makes for him to lose? King a3, okay, well, we also got to look at this. King a3, white wins a lot. However, he's only played this 6 times. So is that worth prepping? No, I'm not going to play king a3. However, would I play king b3 or bishop b4? Yes. So that's something we can look into. If I play bishop e4, white does significantly better, has better results when I play bishop e4 than I do against king b3. So we got to look at why, you know. So that's really just what you got to do when you prep. You get it, you make a study. That's what I like to do. You make a study, put in all the moves or the theory, that you want to memorize and study and learn. You play that against opponents in games. I've had tournaments where I've only played one opening just to try to get better at it, or just to kind of have fun, kind of challenge myself to make it more interesting. You can also play against the computer. Computer is pretty good. It plays the best moves a lot, so you'll. It's not always accurate, which with the moves that a human will play, but it does play the best moves. Um, I just put it in a study. Use opening tree. Yeah, see, okay, it loaded back now. Use opening tree, and then I the only way to learn is to play. So you have to play the stuff that you learn. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it. So yeah. So thanks for tuning into the video. Really appreciate the love and support. Let me know in the comments. How you prep, if you do anything different. Things you think people should learn when they're prepping. And yeah, until next time. See y'all.